me going, ooh, I'm doing this. It's just in the course of questions it comes up, and it feels like I'm lying if I don't fucking share what I know and shit. Especially because it's not like, I'm not like working for Marvel or DC where if I reveal something, they'll fucking sniper me from a ceiling or something. But yeah, man, I mean, Marvel and DC, the movies. I am working for Marvel and DC Comics, but they can't afford a sniper. Page rate and whatnot. So, but yes, you got it out of me. Well done, man. Well done. Give it up for Sebastian. I got enough left to sell, so we'll just Q&A. What's your name, Captain? That happened at Comic-Con. What was it? Let me see. 1995 is the first time we come. 1996, we come back and have a booth for the first time. 97, we come back. Chasing Amy's already come out, and we've got the comics on the horizon and stuff like that. So I want to say that it was post Dogma, so it would be 2000, maybe it was around the time of the Clerks cartoon. So me and Jay were on the floor doing a signing at an end cap. It was for, I think, a poster company or something. So they had us at their booth, but you had to walk up a few steps, and we were sitting there signing for people and whatnot and handing them down to folks. Stan rolls over to see us because, you know, we'd known him for years at this point, from Mallrats going forward. And so he comes up, you know, it's about 6 steps to come up, joins us, and then, hey, spider friends, you know, we were sitting around chit-chatting. He always, like, Kevin, you know, he knew me instantly, but he never remembered Jay's name, which is so weird because it's just a letter, you know, like fucking. So he'd always be like, hey, Kev's good friend, you know. So we chit-chatted with him for a bit, and then we were like, where are you going? He's like, I've got a panel, you know, no rest for the weary. And we're like, all right, man, see you later. And so he's heading off the stage, or the riser we were on. And again, it's only 6 steps, but it is 6 steps above the fucking floor. And so he's walking away. We go, bye, Stan. And he goes, bye, and turns and falls down the fucking steps. Right to the fucking ground, dude. And you want to see Comic-Con stop dead? Everyone in the aisles were like, oh, he killed Stan Lee, you know? But Stan, man, was fucking like, you couldn't stop him. Like, he hit the fucking ground, and you were like, oh, because he was old even then and shit. Instantly popped right back up and was like, bye, spider friends, and kept going and shit. It was so charming, and just like, it made you feel like, oh my God, he is a comic book character and stuff. One of the other really sweet memories I had is when you come to do panels here or to do All Age, you're in the back of the convention center and you pull in to a place where they got a carpet and stuff, and the cars drop you off, and then they take you down the back way to the joint. So me and Jay arrived to do a panel, and as we got out of the car, the SUV, Stan was coming down the carpet, like leaving a thing he had done to get into his car. And so when he saw us, he instantly was like, oh, and he came over and gave us a hug. It was me and Jay, and talked to us for a few seconds. He's like, what are you guys doing? And I was like, we're just about to go do this thing and stuff. What did you do? And he told us what he did and stuff. And then we made plans, hopefully, to see each other sometime over the weekend. And then he got in his car and fucked off. And Jason Mewes is not really this guy. He's not like, you know, he's not shallow by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not like a person that wears his heart on his sleeve or does a lot of big thinking out loud or anything like that. So Stan pulls away and he goes, isn't that fucking incredible? He's like, don't you want to go back in time and tell us before we made Clerks that one day when we get to Comic-Con, the first person who's going to welcome us is Stan Lee, and he's going to know our names. I was like, well, he knew one of our names. He was absolutely fucking tremendous, man. He was like, when I wrote the scene in Mallrats for a comic book guru to play, it wasn't written for Stan, because I don't dream that big and shit. So I just wrote it for a made-up comic book guru character and shit. And Jim Jacks was the producer of Mallrats, one of the producers. When he read the script, he was like, who's this? I love the comic book character scene, the guy who gives him advice. He said, who's that supposed to be? I was like, it's nobody, it's not based on anybody, but I said, I guess if it had to be somebody, it would be like Stan Lee. And he goes, why don't you just write it for Stan Lee? And I was like, well, I don't fucking know Stan Lee. And he goes, I do. And I was like, Hollywood is good. Like all these fuckers know each other, you know? I was like, how do you know Stan Lee? And he's going, I've been going out to dinner once a month with Stan Lee for the last 3 years. He's going, once I got into a position in the business where I could fucking try to develop things, I reached out to Stan years ago because I grew up reading his comics and I was a massive fan. And he's going, we've never been able to do anything, but every month I take him to Dan Tana's and we go out to eat. So when I read this scene, all I could think about was like, Stan would do this. And I was like, well, fuck, man. He goes, rewrite the scene for Stan and I'll bring it to him when I go out to eat with him and shit. I was like, right. So I rewrote the scene. I faxed it. In those days, that's how we moved information around, faxed it to Jim. And Jim brought the pages to his dinner with Stan, which was like 7 o'clock. So I'm on the East Coast. This restaurant, Dan Tana's in Los Angeles, is on the West Coast and shit. So when they were done with dinner, presumably around 9 o'clock, that's when Jim Jacks called me. I was back in Jersey, and so it was midnight. And I was like, hey man, how'd it go? And he's gone, it went okay. He's gone, he wants you to call him tomorrow. I was like, Stan Lee wants me to call him? He goes, yeah. I said, why? And he goes, he'll talk to you about it. And I said, what does that mean? And he goes, let him tell you. I said, well, how do you react to the pages? He goes, he'll tell you about that. And I was like, no, Jim, goddamn, you can't leave me hanging like that. What did he say? And he goes, you really want to know? And I said, yeah. And he goes, all right, well, I gave him the pages and he read them right there at the table. And the first thing he said was, Jim, I would never say this shit. And I had to explain to him that it's not really him, it's playing a fictionalized version of himself and whatnot, and he understood that. But he had a question and he wanted to talk to you about it first. So you're gonna call him at POW, his offices, and talk to him. And I was like, oh my God, this is fucking nuts. So the next day I called them and they were like, hold for Stan Lee and shit. And then he answered the phone, he's like, hey, Spider Friend. I was like, oh my God, there's that voice, man. That's amazing. I know exactly who you are. I've been listening to you forever, reading the comics and stuff like that. This is honestly like a very cool moment for me. And he goes, well, thank you. He goes, it's very cool that you wrote me a role in your movie. And Jim shared it with me, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it. And he's going, I would really like to do it. And I was like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. I'd like you to do it. He's going, but we've got a little issue. I was like, oh my God, what's the issue? And he goes, well, in the movie, you have this beautiful scene where I'm telling your main character, I'm giving him advice, telling him a story about the one that got away. I was like, yeah. And he goes, it's a great story, but it's me telling that story, Stan Lee in the movie telling the story about the one that got away. And if Stan Lee is in a movie telling a story about the one that got away, the one I got at home will throw me out of the fucking house. I was like, you talking about your wife? He goes, yeah, I can't dishonor Joni like that. There was never anybody but Joni. Even if there was, it was always just Joni and stuff. He's going, so I can't just go out there and say, you know, this story about falling in love with some woman that got away. He's going, but I was thinking about it. He goes, what if you added a scene where then I can say afterwards that I was just kidding around? And I was like, oh my God, like that's easy for me to do. I'll write that. You could say it to the TS character, his friend. He goes, yeah, well, if you could do that, I think I can be in your movie. And I was like, fucking yeah, done and done. And I knew Stan for years after that. Like when we got him on set, he was 75 years old. And I'll never forget, Jim Jacks was like, okay, everyone be careful with this guy. He's so old he could die at any minute and shit. And Stan lived for another 21 fucking years. Jim Jacks died 10 years later. Like, it's really haunting and fucking sad and shit. So he came to like fucking play with us and stuff like that. And, you know, came and did the part as written. And I got to know him from that day forward, and we became friends over the course of all those years and knew him until he passed away. So knowing Stan, as I grew to know him, I understand what happened in that phone call. Like Stan told me a really great story about how, you know, I gotta fucking say that this is made up because otherwise it'll break Joni's heart and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm just a big fat romantic, so I fucking love that. But after knowing Stan for like 10, 20 years, I realized the brilliance. Stan literally doubled his scene count in one phone call. simply by being like, I should probably be in a second scene to explain the first scene. And because I'm that kind of filmmaker that has scenes that explain the previous scenes anyway, I was like, fucking, you're right, we should do that, you know? He was a funny fucking dude, man. But it was cool to meet somebody whose work had meant so much to me. And stuff. Every one of the fucking people that you're gonna see who walks across this stage, walks across any of the other stages, shares something at the genetic level with all of you. They began their journey to wherever they are by being a fan, just like you. And they aggregated from the audience to the stage as a creator. That's not because they have God-given talent. That's not because they're special. That's not because they were fucking handpicked or something like that. That's because they tried. That's because they said, that looks fun and I want to try it too. So if you like this shit, and if you're willing to sit in a seat for hours listening to people talk about movies and stuff, you're a filmmaker. You just haven't made your film yet. So I implore you, over the course of the next year, man, it's fun to watch other people do things and make things. It's even more fun to do them yourself. And now we live in an age when everything's possible. When I made my first movie, we had to rent film equipment and shit like that. Like, the first film I ever did cost $27,575. And most kids, when I tell them that today, they're like, what'd you do with the money? Now they've got fucking technology that you can make your own film. If you've got fucking one of these goddamn phones and shit, you got a studio in your pocket, you can make whatever you want. If you don't want to make that, shit, you can record a podcast. If you don't want to do that, you could just write. Express yourself, man. And I don't mean like jump on the internet and be like, fucking Superman sucked. Like, that's not, yes, that is a form of self-expression, but that's not gonna help anybody, one iota. You may argue, yeah, it'll stop somebody from seeing fucking Superman. Let them make up their own fucking mind and shit like that. When I say express yourself, I mean share something of yourself that only you could possibly fucking share, man. Everyone in this room is an amazing little content generator, living a very unique life experience from all the rest of us. We all share the human condition, but your journey is so fucking unique and so interesting, man. When first-time storytellers think about doing stuff, they try to ape what others have done before, mimic what has been done before. Like, that seems successful, I'll try that. That's a way to go. You could do that. If there's success one time, perhaps there'll be success in another time as well. But I would always encourage you to die on the cross of originality, because you have something to say that nobody has ever fucking heard before, and you're the only person who could fucking say it. When we talk about the movie business, usually people dismiss it as like, oh, they just make sequels and fucking remakes. It sucks. That's what pays the bills. But you know what they dream about? They dream about you, someone they've never met, walking through the door and telling them a fucking story that knocks their fucking hat off, man. That makes them go like, my God, that moves me, and we're all gonna make a bunch of money and shit like that. They're never gonna get that from me. When I walk into a studio, they're like, we get it, Clerks 9, fuck off. But they've heard my stories over and over again and shit, and it's all variations on a theme because I've been doing it for 3 decades. But you have not, and everything you have to say is fucking useful. We are all in this together, but nobody is coming to save us, man. The only way we get out of this one fucking best possible of all worlds alive is with togetherness, man. We have answers that other people need. When you express yourself and tell your story, you're not just possibly entertaining somebody, you're possibly giving them fucking information, tools for them to make their life fucking a little bit better, man. So not only do you get something off your chest and get to make a piece of art or something like that, make pretend. And if art sounds too lofty, just bring it down to like make pretend to do a fucking thing. Even if it's just that, you've self-fucking expressed. You put something out there, and you have something uniquely yours that maybe you haven't had since childhood. A make pretend thing that you made, you could put up on the fridge, that you fucking own. There was nothingness, and then you brought something into creation. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is you fucking tell a story that saves somebody's life. This is not an exaggeration. I've been doing this shit 31 years, as previously mentioned, and invariably, no matter where I go in the world, I always meet people who will tell me some sweet story about something I fucking made that changed their life, man. I've used this example all the time because it still moved me. It happened within 2 years. 2 years ago, I was doing a show in Dallas. What was that fucking show? Dallas Fan Con, or whatever it's called and stuff. So while I was there, you know, you take pictures and you sign shit. It's just like this fucking con. And there's a dude who came up and he had a copy of Mallrats on VHS. Beat up the fuck. Looked like it went through a washer machine and shit. But you know, it's from 1995, it's a VHS, it's a fucking relic and stuff. He put it on the table. I said, oh, look at this fucking piece of Americana. I was like, this has seen better days, holy shit. And he goes, that's my copy, I've had it for years. I want to get it signed for my son. And I said, oh, how old's your son? He goes, he's newborn and stuff. And I was like, oh, all right, fucking well, don't show him this movie for many, many years and stuff. And he goes, no, I'm gonna show him this movie because this is the movie that saved my life. That's why I want you to sign it to him. And I hear that compliment quite a bit. It's a nice thing that people say. We're like, you did a thing that saved my life. And I've said that to other artists, and I know what that means. It's not really fucking true. Like when somebody goes, Clerks saved my life, it's not like they're like, I was hanging from a cliff and a copy of Clerks, I grabbed onto it and it saved my, you know. No, they're speaking metaphorically or whatever. It's a nice thing to hear as somebody that did something that changed or saved somebody's life. So when he said it, I know how to respond to that after years. I was like, oh my God, thank you, that means the world. And he goes, no, I'm being serious. He's going, I just want to share this with you before you sign it. He's gone, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, every day I came home from school, my father would beat the shit out of me to within an inch of my life, every day, really violently. And then I would crawl in a bloody pulp to my room, close the bedroom door, clean myself up, put in Mallrats, and I would escape to the mall with Brody and TS and Jay and Silent Bob, and that was my escape, and that gave me my strength to head into the next day. He's going, now I'm a father, and I would never do to my son what that piece of shit did to me, but I know that this is important that my boy know that he's alive today because I lived through some shit, so can you make it out to him? It was Mallrats, kids. Like, it wasn't even one of the good movies I made, you know what I'm saying? But that movie had a profound fucking effect. When I was making Mallrats, I wasn't thinking like, this is gonna help some poor kid somewhere who's getting a regular beatdown. But it did, man. And so you never know what the fuck you're working on or what you could possibly say that is gonna save somebody else's fucking life. Every day is a fucking school day. And you have information the world will never know unless you share it in one form or another, man. So if you choose to use that voice of yours, and I don't mean just your speaking voice, I mean your voice is your perspective, your voice is your currency, your voice is how you see the world and spit it back to the world, the filter through which your perspective comes out for everybody. Your voice is valuable, it's your currency. You can fucking spend it, and you should in this lifetime, man. Don't tell other people's stories. Tell yours, man, because it's unique and it's never been told before, and no one can ever tell your story. Nobody has your perspective, and who knows how valuable that perspective is. So it's fun to sit around at Comic-Con and watch people who've made their dreams come true, man. I sat here moderating panels with famous people who made movies and shit. I was like, fucking A, they all started out there as fans and shit. Now they're up here doing their thing. And it's fun to sit around and do that and whatnot because we love the arts, the popular arts, but kids, I implore you, don't leave this world without fucking trying it yourself. You're all fucking storytellers as well. No better than any of us who've been up here. Maybe some cats got more money than you, but that fucking don't make a difference. Make sure before you leave this best of all possible worlds, you let them know who you fucking are by expressing yourself. Now, if you're a person that's like, well, I've always wanted to hunt humans, I'm not talking to you, man. Your dreams are unimportant and their nightmares don't make them come true and shit. But try to make your dreams come true before you leave this place, kids. I'm telling you, I try every day. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't and shit, but like, what are you gonna do other than give it a shot? Thanks for spending the time with me. I love you all. Be very careful going home. Enjoy the rest of Comic-Con 2025!